Next, we're moving into the you-do portion of the gradual release model, and we'll be discussing independent practice in the classroom. The you-do independent practice is generally the fifth portion of the gradual release. However, you can approach the gradual release at any starting point. Our main goal for independent practice is for students to transfer new knowledge from short-term memory to long-term memory. Some ways we can do this include practice and application, summarizing and note-taking, as well as identifying similarities and differences. Remember, mass practice versus spaced practice. Let's take a look again at practice and application within the lens of independent practice. Keep in mind that spaced practice is more beneficial to students than mass practice. On the Hattie scale, spaced practice is at 65 hundredths, keeping in mind that anything over 40 hundredths is a high yield strategy. In this case, it would be better for students to practice 30 minutes each day rather than practice for 2.5 hours on a Friday. And don't forget, they can never over practice. Students need many opportunities to practice within their classroom experiences. And also, keep in mind the different ways that they can cycle through their experiences, as well as bringing in any past experiences to help them apply the new knowledge. When we plan for what is happening and we encourage and have deliberate practice in our classrooms on the Hattie scale, that is at 79 hundredths. That way, students can then focus their attention and engage in the tasks. When students have that deliberate practice, they again focus attention and engage in the tasks. They are also working for a specific goal of improving performance. As teachers, we need to provide feedback to help students know where to move next in their learning. The key is the development of that mental representation. When students have that mental representation, they're able to solidify that information in their long-term memory. Students can then also respond quickly and effectively to a prompt they are given because it's solidified in their long-term memory. When students have goals, they're more likely to engage in that deliberate practice. Two other strategies will help us during independent practice. They include summarizing and note-taking. When we have students summarize and take notes, it's going to enhance their ability to synthesize information and organize it in a way that captures the main ideas as well as the supporting details. Another way would be through identifying similarities and differences. This will enhance students' understanding and ability to use knowledge by engaging them in mental processes that involve identifying ways in which items are alike and different. When we think about summarizing and note-taking, it is something that is automatic. Let's take a look at a few of those ways. We pick up what is most important in a brief, synthesized fashion. Keep in mind when you've heard a weather report and you're reporting back to a friend about the weather the next day. You definitely will pick out the most important information and give a brief synopsis of what is happening with the weather. It is up to us as the person giving the story, as well as the person listening, to fill in the missing parts and translate the information that is in a synthesized form. There are specific summarizing strategies that we can use and show our students how they can apply this complex process. On the topic of summarizing, some ideas include rule-based summarizing strategies, a think aloud by a teacher, summary frames, which include a series of questions that highlight important events so students can see the patterns in the text. Reciprocal teaching, which includes the processes of summarizing while students engage in the thinking process and have group roles. Also, a group-enhanced summary, where students have group roles. In addition, we must also teach our students about note-taking. We must teach them in a variety of formats, including informal outlines, webs, combination notes, giving them teacher-prepared notes, as well as reminders to review their notes. As they move through note-taking, they will develop their own ways to take notes. Some tools to help us facilitate summarizing and note-taking include checking for understanding, using a rubric to assess the impact, planning classroom practice, as well as taking a self-assessment as a teacher to understand what's going well in our classroom and ways we can improve. Let's take a look at some of the components of identifying similarities and differences. Comparing includes identifying items and ideas with similarities and differences. Classifying is when we group things into definable categories based on liked characteristics. Metaphors identify a general pattern in a specific pattern and then find another topic that seems quite different at the literal level but has the same general pattern. Analogies identify relationships between pairs of concepts. And we can show these in our classrooms by giving students a model for the process, using familiar content to teach the steps, using graphic organizers to help organize their thinking, as well as guide students as needed through the process of comparing, classifying, using metaphors, as well as analogies. We will dive a little bit deeper into independent practice, the you-do portion of the gradual release model during our district staff development. We hope this gives you a better glimpse as to what independent practice could look like in your classrooms. Thanks again for joining the course.